I can see Hopkins thinking that he's not as serious and he's not the quarterback that he wants to be with or finish his career with, or I can see him requesting a trade.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner, because I enjoyed the match this past weekend at Night of Champions, the Solo Sikoa to my Roman Reigns, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, that bloodline storyline and the Usos turning on Roman, man, I'm all locked into that.
That's going to be a
But
good one.
how are you doing? Man, I hope they do that show. They got to delay that to SummerSlam. Don't do it at Money at the Bank. Don't do it at Money in the Bank. Push that out.
I think it's going to get to, I think it's got to go to SummerSlam.
Yeah, you got to push that out.
If they let it ride to SummerSlam, I think I could see the rematch of the Usos versus KO and Sammy.
Yeah. Son. Well, fans, welcome to our Top Shelf Tuesday edition, man. Welcome. I love wrestling, love catching up with it. I'm mad at my partner because he didn't call me with Mark Henry on the phone, but that's all right. So on today's Odd Coaches Podcast, we're going to talk about quarterbacks again. We're going to talk about Kyler Murray. We're going to talk about Jimmy G. And in segment 3, we're going to talk about the relevancy of, pardon the pun, the island relevancy of the running backs. But first, let's start in Las Vegas. Las Vegas coach Josh McDaniel, who didn't have the best first year, Mike, said last week that he had no issue with all-pro wide receiver Davante Adams venting, saying he didn't see eye to eye with the direction of the franchise. Adams is a 6-time Pro Bowler, and they didn't have the best year. They got rid of Derek Carr, who was his college quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. And now they brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, with a 3-year deal, $72 million. And if I'm not mistaken, sir, Jimmy G is on the injury list with an injured left foot. What do we got going on, man? Do you have a problem with Davante Adams speaking his piece, sir?
I don't have a problem with him speaking his piece. I just wish he would. Hopefully, he said that to the team's people before he put it out on the internet. Like if it's something that he repeating that he had a conversation with a GM or a coach or something like that, I don't have a problem with it. I would hope, if I'm them, I would hope that he would express that to us first before he went out and put it in public. But you know how these day and ages are, people are afraid to have their words changed. So I can see them going. On the other hand, as a player, I can see it going to media first, because you don't want it to come out different way, because we know that NFL organizations have a way of tainting you and what you say and controlling the narrative. We know that. The NFL is a very, very strong entity. So for him to go straight to the consumer and express his displeasure is as a player is good. If I'm on the other side, the owner or GM, I would hope that he came to me and told me that. So I can see it on both ends.
All right. So Arizona has made some moves. They released DeAndre Hopkins last week. DeAndre Hopkins would have cost the team about $30-some-odd million, so they get to save money. But DeAndre Hopkins has also been vocal about what type of player, in terms of quarterback, he would like to play with. So now you got to think that if you're Kyler Murray, you got a new general manager, Monty Ossenford. You have a new head coach, thank God, Jonathan Gannon. I know, let it go. And they might not be very good this year, and there's a lot of quarterbacks coming out next year. So what does this mean for Kyler Murray? How do you take Davante Adams just getting cut and left on the street, and all of this newness coming in, and the anticipation of not a very good season, and people really haven't said a lot of nice things about me? How are you thinking about this, Mike?
That's a good question. He skipped the voluntary team workouts in the last month. So Sounds like he don't want to be there, number one. Uh, number two, Kyler Murray, I'm a little concerned. First of all, as a GM, I'm way concerned. If I'm the owner, I'm way concerned that the GM re-signed the guy and we had to put in the closet he couldn't play video games. That's him, right?
That's correct.
That's him. I can't deal with it. So I can see Hopkins thinking that he's not as serious and he's not the quarterback that he wants to be with or finish his career with, or I can see him requesting a trade.
But who wants? Because obviously he has some talent, but there's some pause with him.
There's teams who want him. I mean, if you saw it, the Bills, the Ravens, Patriots, like they want Hopkins.
Oh, I'm not worried about Hopkins getting a gig. I'm worried about Kyler Murray if it doesn't work out for him this year. Hopkins gonna get a gig, but the thing is, he ain't gonna get that much money because the NFL salary cap is real. And
it is, but he ain't.
He's gonna have to take a hometown discount or something if he's trying to win.
Hometown. They told the man he couldn't play video games no more. Come on now.
Well, yeah, that's Kyler. And when he was on the little, when Hopkins was on the little podcast or whatever, talking about he wants a quarterback that's serious about playing, man, that's a shot across the bow, I think, to Kyler Murray.
But is it a lie?
No, didn't say that. That's a shot across the bow.
And they gave the man $230 million to play video games.
Well, last thing for this segment, Mike, and I apologize throwing this on you. Derek Carr in New Orleans got a little help from his former coach, John Gruden, who's helping install the offense. I'm sure this is an independent contract kind of thing. Carr spent a lot of time with Gruden and the Raiders and the West Coast offense. Do you have an issue with Gruden working with Carr, helping to install the offense? I know that he's pretty good at this, but he also had his little issues. But any thoughts before we close this segment on John Gruden helping out on the side?
I don't know. Because why would I have a problem with it?
I'm just based on everything that had happened. And all of the negative attention, that doesn't take away his brilliance in terms of coaching. But I was just asking, since it did come across.
Let me tell you something. There's a lot of coaches out there and owners out there who did a lot worse than John Gruden. I'm not excusing what he did, but I'm gonna tell you right now, today, right now, as we film this, somewhere there's an owner or GM who is doing something worse than John Gruden.
All right. And with that, when we come back, fans, in segment 2, we'll talk a little bit about the business of football. And we'll talk about some of the young scholars with the gambling and see if they've learned their lessons. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete, academic, and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 2, I want to get to the business of football a little bit. The NFL Sunday ticket package will continue to be available to restaurants, bars, hotels, and other business that have DirecTV for business. DirecTV has reached a multi-year agreement with Everpass Media to provide a package of out-of-market Sunday afternoon games on CBS and Fox to its business clients. The agreement does not apply to DirecTV residential customers. So in a release, the company services more than 300,000 commercial establishments. The NFL reached a 7-year agreement with Google last December to distribute the package to residential customers after it had been on DirecTV since 1994. We say all of this because DirecTV for Business also has the same arrangement nationally with Amazon Prime for NFL, Thursday Night Football, MLS, as well as Friday Night Baseball. So, Mike, as you see, there's money out there. I'm going to slide some college in here. What does this mean for like the Pac-12 that DirecTV is dealing with NFL, bars, and so forth? But wow, they're the last like bit out there that can't seem to get anything. So as somebody who goes out to bars and restaurants and so forth with the NFL ticket, do you think that's going to have an impact on the home folks? Because that Google switch might not work out well with like the red zone package.
And it relates to the Pac-12 because
remember the Pac-12 is the last conference that doesn't have a TV deal. And look, there's money out there.
there's a reason.
But they can't seem to get it.
Yeah, because football sucks. What you mean? Why?
Jiminy crickets.
They're not entertaining. Nobody wants to pay to see that. It comes on late at night anyway. Like, who's going to do that? Now, if they're going to change their game times, but then if they change their game times, now they got to compete against the SECs, the Big Tens, like those conferences. Like, nobody want to watch Pac-12 football. I mean, it's just free or not. Nobody wants to watch it. It's you know what I mean? It's that simple. Like, they come on that last slot in the ESPN on Saturday.
Yeah, and again, fans, we crossed over a little bit because I was looking at the money that the NFL is getting with their contract. Mike, I do want to also ask you your thoughts on being able to flex Thursday games.
I hate it.
Talk to me about why you hate that.
Don't talk to me at all about player safety if you think you're going to flex games. I don't even want to hear it. You can't have both. You can't have both. We're going to stop doing kickoff returns, and we're trying to lessen the amount of contact, but we're going to shorten your days that you have to rest in between. Like, that's horrible. That's horrible. That is no way in the best interest. There's not a coach or player who's interested in this. And I think sometimes the owners do shit just to remind everybody they're in charge. Not necessarily just to show that, hey, get back out there and pick that cotton. Like, they do crazy stuff that just doesn't make sense.
Okay. Finally, in this segment, Mike, do you believe him? Talking about the Detroit Lions. Last month, Detroit Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams was suspended along with 4 other players for violating the NFL gambling policy. Because Williams didn't gamble on NFL games, he didn't receive an indefinite suspension of at least a year. Instead, he received a 6-game suspension for placing an online bet while in the team facility. Williams released a statement through his agency at the time of the announcement, but this week he addressed it in a little more detail, and here's what I'd like your reaction to. It hit me out of the blue, he said, and it hit a couple of players in my team and around the league out of the blue. I wasn't aware of the situation, but as it happened, I took it on the chin. I was ready to move forward. As things went on, I got the consequences. That's been my whole plan, moving forward from things. But he was unaware of that policy in terms of where the bet. They gave me 6 games and we left it at that. I'm just looking forward to coming back week 7 and getting out there with my team and playing a game. So, Mike, do you believe that he didn't know he couldn't place his non-NFL bets within the team facility?
Mm-hmm. I believe it. I believe it. Just like like the parents who come up to the school every day and say, "Oh, I didn't know they couldn't wear that," or I didn't know he was failing, or I didn't know he's suspended. I send him to school anyway, because people don't read their emails, people don't pay attention, and then he got an agent who's supposed to pay attention to that stuff. But like you said, most guys that I know, except for a couple, very few agents, they see him only on the days they sign the contract. You know, they hate those guys like Drew Rosenhaus and those guys who show up all the time. That's why other people don't like them. Not because they or sneaky or nothing. It's just they do more, and because they do more with their athletes, they're in the limelight more, which makes all the other ones look bad, and that's why they don't like him. But he's going to be there. Drew Rosenhaus is going to be there. He's going to call you, and I don't know who his agent is. I hope it ain't Drew Rosenhaus, but I would think that somebody that communication during the off season, I'll be willing to bet these guys ain't checking no emails during the off season. It's the off season. They're going to see the world. They're traveling Europe. Most of them go to other countries during the off season, take their kids places, you know?
So moving forward, would you change anything with the rookie symposium? Would you change anything with the onboarding?
Yeah, you have to. That's when you let them know. Like, if you didn't let them know during those two situations, how are they supposed to know? Because I'm going to be honest with you. This summer, when June 14th hit, and I walk out that building, I am not checking no emails if it's not titled summer school.
Mm-hmm. All right. So fans, when we get
back. If it's not summer school, I don't want to know nothing until I finish summer school. Then August 10th, I'll check.
And I'm not mad at you. But fans, when we get back, we're going to talk about the running back position very close to my heart because my favorite player of all time is Tony Dorsett. And the running backs, man, I don't know what's going to happen to you guys. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, I am often fond of saying it rarely ends well. And it's rarely ending well these days for running backs. So a couple of running backs came across the news. Le'Veon Bell came across the news today, Coach. And one, I didn't know he was only 31. That paused me.
That's
right
still
there.
Too old for being running back.
Yeah, so 6 years ago, Le'Veon Bell was an all-pro running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now at 31, he's out of football and has been focusing on his career as a professional boxer. He said last fall that there was a 1% chance he would play football again after playing for 4 different teams. He had a change of heart, however, and now he wants to try to get back on the field and hopefully retire as a Steeler. Fans, you may remember that he held out a 2017 training camp over a contract dispute. He was an all-pro again that season, but after that, like nothing. So, man, can he get back in, Mike, or is it just done?
I think that they're going to prove a point with him. He's the Lamar of running backs where they're not going to give him that contract or give him the extension or give him money that he wants because of the way he did the business. That's an issue. They're going to freeze him out because when you held out at Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, they don't play them games unless you're named Roethlisberger. You can't get away with that in Pittsburgh.
All right. So now Adrian Peterson's in the news. He is ready to take his next handoff should a team offer. And Adrian Peterson's 38. He didn't play last season, but he needs 82 yards to hit 15,000 for his career. He is 351 yards from tying Barry Sanders from 4th place. Mentally, he said, I haven't officially hung it up, but he last played in 2021, appearing in 1 game with Seattle and 3 with Tennessee. What do you think, man? Can Adrian Peterson dust off? And
I didn't know he was with Tennessee.
So that's a no.
No, I didn't know he was with Tennessee. I didn't.
There's only one game. Oh no, 3 with Tennessee, 1 with
Right.
Seattle.
I don't remember seeing him in Tennessee, but I mean, Washington should come and get him again. It can't hurt.
Okay. All
Who do
right.
they have?
Man,
Name
So
the running
you-
back in Washington.
they did the Robinson kid. Is it Robinson? He's the one, and I'm sorry, fans. I remember him because of an unfortunate incident, and I'm happy he's back and playing, and he played well. And I think he went to
stop,
Alabama.
man.
I think he went to
That's
Alabama.
why you remember him. That's why you remember him. Not for his play, because he got robbed.
Yes. I think his last name is Robinson.
You sure, or is it because he got robbed?
No. That's
And
and he played well. And Bobian liked him. That's why I remember him. But
All
he's
right,
the
well-
only running back I remember. Because I remember Brian said he's a good bat.
Okay.
Good bat.
All right.
So our OCP
All right,
team
well, Adrian
correspondent.
Peterson he can fill in though. I think he can fill in.
Okay.
Give him
All right.
82 yards, man.
Give me 82. All right. Saquon Barkley. This is where it all comes down to.
Mm-mm.
Saquon Barkley is in a negotiation with the Giants. The Giants began organized team activities, OTAs fans, last week, and Barkley wasn't there. The Giants attempted to negotiate a contract extension and reportedly offered him $12.5 million per year, but Giants general manager John Schoen said that the sides weren't very close. I would have advised him to take that money and run. But hey, negotiations resumed after the Giants lost to the Eagles in the divisional playoffs. Barkley re-signing in the offseason is a priority. According to multiple reports, Giants upped their offer to $13 million per year with incentives, making the deal worth as much as $14 million. Reaching an agreement with Daniel Jones on a 4-year, $160 million contract, worth up to $195 million, kind of takes away some of the money. At the NFL owners meeting, the Giants revealed that the offer was no longer on the table.
Oof.
And the Giants have until 4:00 Monday, July 17th, to sign Barkley to a long-term deal since he's a franchise player, or he has to play one season under the franchise tag, and that's one more year that a running back is. How's that contract with Zeke? Now, as soon as they had an opportunity, Dallas said thank you and goodbye. So,
see you later.
Mike, here's the market value for running backs. There hasn't been much growth since Adrian Peterson took salaries to a new level in 2011. Peterson received a 6-year, $85 million contract extension, which averaged $14 million a year with an additional $4 million. Christian McCaffrey is currently the highest paid running back, and he's making $16 million a year, and he signed that contract in 2020. The thought is Barkley made a mistake not taking him money. That's kind of how we're looking at it. What do you think? And how would you advise Saquon?
Saquon, you better get your ass in there, sign that deal, and play it out. Play the deal out, and then see what you can do with the next one. I understand, know your worth. I understand all of that, but they took the offer out the table, so it doesn't look like they're budget. And you've been injury riddled. So there's been a couple of seasons you got that money when you didn't even play for it. So subtract that money from what you expecting to get is the way GMs look at it. Like, I paid you for 2 years and you didn't finish the season. So let's take that money off the top. Get mine off the top. It says I gave it to you.
So, Mike, I need Coach Francis to tell me, how did we get here with running backs? Tell me why they're not important, because I grew up where everybody said, we've got to get a running back. And without a running back, we don't have anything. And now we can just grab guys off the street and hope for the best. Tell me how did we get here?
Spread offenses got us there. You don't need a guy who can run between the tackle. You got hitches and bubble screens that do the same thing as a running game. You got shovel passes. You got all kinds of things. You got quarterbacks like Lamar who can run a little better. Stretching the field makes defenses commit less people in the box. You know, counting the box is how we used to decide if we're gonna run a pass. If six or less, we running the ball. You know, depending on down and distance, 6 or more, if it's more than 6, we got to throw the ball because they're too tight. So now you don't see a lot of heavy boxes with 6, 7 guys. 6 guys maybe, but that's about it, depending on your formation. Tight end brings another linebacker down or the free safety down, gives you one-on-one coverage on the outside or combo coverage. So,
all right. So, fans, as we close, we're
throwing the ball at a more efficient rate.
Yeah. All right. So, fans, as we close, we got OTAs going on now, and we're really going to start digging into our team previews. So we'll be reaching out to our team correspondents, and in the next few weeks, we'll start digging in with the real previews and the real suggestions for money, if you're into strictly for entertainment purposes only aspects. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. We'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.